Okay, so we're moving on now to the primary subcomponents. We've gotten over through affinity and contrast. So the primary subcomponents, these there are four different spaces, and that is deep space, flat space, limited space, and ambiguous space. Okay, so these different spaces, they're created by depth cues. For example, we have this image of a freeway, and it looks as if it stretches off into the distance and cars are moving. But there are certain cues, visual cues, that give us the perception of space. It creates the perception that a three-dimensional world or representation of our three-dimensional world has been recreated on the two-dimensional flat plane, which is the screen or the monitor that you're looking at. It's flat. It doesn't have depth. It has height and it has width, but it does not have that third dimension of depth. So how is that created? Well, the first thing of the components is, or the primary components is perspective. Perspective is being one of the most important ones. It's important to recognize that these principles or components also happen in real life, and that's how the mind is able to suspend disbelief and make that jump into believing or to that understanding of a photograph or an image or a series of images or film represents the illusion of that third three-dimensional space. Okay, so here's a two-dimensional flat frontal plane. All the sides, the angles going across the top here and here, they're all parallel, and it's flat. And this is, you can see this in real life as well. This could be like, imagine a flat wall that you're looking straight ahead at. Okay, so now we understand the frontal plane. We have to understand the one point perspective, which coming to next. This is a one point perspective. So in the real world, when we look at a frontal plane or a wall at an angle, one side, the part that's farthest away from us, appears smaller, and the side that's closest to us appears larger. And also we have these it creates these longitudinal planes up in here, on the bottom lines. Okay, so this is a one point perspective. You can always check to see the perspective because it has this what's called a vanishing point, which is right over here. Right here. It's an imaginary fact, a perceptual fact. There is no line here. Let me go back and show you. So there's no line here, but our mind will continue to draw that line, and it will put what's called a vanishing point right there, or perceive what we're calling a vanishing point right here on the horizon. And that's what that's pointing to, this vanishing point. A vanishing point can appear on screen. It can also appear off screen. Either way. So the lines at the top and the bottom, they appear to converge on this vanishing point. So now those longitudinal lines or longitudinal plane, right, up in here, appears to have depth. And it's the same thing, a similar thing like when you're looking at train tracks. The tracks will appear to meet on the horizon, even though you know the train tracks run perpendicular. They don't meet. So that's convergence, where the lines appear to converge, and this happens in the real world as well. So next what we have is the 2-point perspective, and that's where we have two vanishing points, one here and one here. And again, those vanishing points can occur on screen or off screen. This is the type of view that you would have, like say looking at a building downtown LA. From the corner, you'll have these vanishing points and that convergence in that perspective, that 2-point perspective. So we have 1-point perspective right here with the vanishing point, those longitudinal lines converging. There's convergence here. That's those are depth cues. Okay, the longitudinal planes here that extend to the horizon. Here's an example of the 1-point perspective again. I'm sorry, 2-point perspective, because there's a specific angle that we're looking at on this one. I'm sorry, 1-point. Here's a 2-point perspective where it's at imagine with this one where the camera is low to the ground and looking up. And this is where we would have the vanishing points here and here. So we would follow this slanted line up and this slanted line up, and there'd be a vanishing point here. This is another 2-point perspective. One here and one there. And again, the vanishing point does not have to be within the picture plane, the picture space. It can be outside the frame. Another 2-point perspective. Here's another 2-point perspective right here. This is an inverted one where they're looking at the corner of the room. So with this one, the vanishing point appears here and here. So we're still following these perceptual lines. And as they converge, they create those longitudinal planes, right? And those lines converge on the horizon. That is the vanishing point. This is a 3-point perspective. We're getting more and more complex now. We went from 1-point to 2-point to a 3-point. So here we have a 3-point perspective, right? 1, 2, and 3. And we can just trace the outlining, all the lines up to the top, to the sides, and across the bottom. And we get these vanishing points. Here's another 3-point perspective. This is from the perspective of, like, say, an example would be a helicopter looking down at the top of a building. So those are perspective, vanishing points, and longitudinal planes. They can be applied to an actor as well. So when the camera is level, at eye level, we don't have that. We only have a flat frontal plane, like this, the first image. But if the camera moves down towards the feet, right, the feet start to look larger and the head smaller, and then it creates those longitudinal planes, giving it perspective and convergence. See? And the same holds true if the camera is inverted and, let's say, goes to the top or up towards the actor's head. So another thing that happens with vanishing point is they are very powerful. An audience's eye is drawn to the vanishing point. Okay, so like in this image right here, we have a vanishing point that occurs right here. You got this line coming down here, this line coming across here, same for here. So that's where our eyes are drawn to. Sort of like completes that X. So if we put the actor outside, away from that vanishing point, it's a different feel than if the actor is positioned at the vanishing point. When the actor is positioned at the vanishing point, it keeps the audience's attention focused on that actor. Because that's where the action is, that's where they're drawn to, that vanishing point that occurs on the screen. So here we have again different perspectives, frontal planes, and that's it. Any questions you can post on there, and I will answer them.